A story about love through discipline. I am the Wiz. All right, everybody, thank you again for coming back. Thank you again for checking out this video. If you like this review, please leave a like on it. And if you want to watch more of my reviews, please subscribe. I do 3 reviews a week on this channel. All right, everybody, I'm reviewing the 1962 biopic, The Miracle Worker, starring Anne Bancroft and Patty Duke, directed by Arthur Penn. Now, I'm going to do this review a little bit different. It's going to be a lot different. I am going to read out my written review that I have on IamTheWiz.com. And then while I'm doing this readout, I'm going to interrupt it and add more flavor and a little bit more detail as to what I'm thinking about this writing. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you want to read this review, again, it's on IamTheWiz.com. So here we go. It feels like the best films, when it comes to an adult coming into a kid's life and changing it for the better, has one thing it shows that makes the story more emotionally satisfying, and that is discipline. I'm not saying that films that deal with warmth, love, emotional support, or a number of ways to change a young person's life doesn't work. But when the main component of the adult is to create discipline on that child, it has a strange satisfaction to it that others don't seem to have. As an adult, it's obvious. When you're well adjusted, you know one of the things that brought you there was not only your parents' love, but the discipline they put in you to help make you grow. But films have to walk a tightrope to get this right. Make the disciplinary too likable, and they lack teeth or an authority that makes you believe that they will be listened to. But go too hard and they will feel abusive to the point where it feels uncomfortable as to what they are doing. Take, for example, J.K. Simmons in Whiplash or Morgan Freeman in Lean on Me. You can say that they are hard learners. Hell, maybe an extreme learner. But you can't deny that the person helps motivate or wants you to improve in a visceral way. I want to note this one right now. I am not saying that most films that don't deal with discipline is not as good as, say, Whiplash or Lean on Me. I just think when it comes to showing disciplining somebody to be a certain way is a lot more satisfying than those who are just about learning to love yourself. There are movies that do that are good, but I think the disciplinary person who comes in and shapes that person's well-being is a lot more satisfying to watch because there is a set growth there. The Miracle Worker is about discipline in its purest form. The other films use discipline as a proxy for a means of success, whether it's to make it out of a bad neighborhood alive or to become a great jazz drummer. Arthur Penn's 1962 biopic is about the use of discipline simply to live. The Miracle Worker is about Annie Sullivan, who is played with a fire and determination by Anne Bancroft, who is hired by a Southern military captain and his wife, played by Victor Gorey and Inga Swenson, to try and teach their deaf and blind daughter, Helen Keller, played with exhausting ferocity by Patty Duke, how to communicate as a last-ditch effort before her parents decides to institutionalize her. When Annie gets to the Kellers, you immediately learn that she's about discipline and self-determination. And honestly, some may watch this film and think the actions Annie takes are extreme, or at least using tactics that would surely not be used today. I'm going to note right here as well, I don't think it's really that extreme. I think some people will watch it and go, I would never hit my child. I would never do the things that Annie would do. But if you're watching the film, I don't think it feels extreme when you're watching it because you're understanding how bad Helen is in this film. But I think in a vacuum, or if you just watch those scenes without the context, I think someone would be like, whoa, what the hell am I watching here? That's what I'm saying. The film shows Annie going right away to Helen, trying to communicate with her in simple words like doll, tree, and water. But what it also shows is how far gone Helen actually is. Due to her frustration and inability to communicate, she walks around with arms stretched wildly, grabbing anything she can. Her manners are so poor that her family allows her to walk around the table grabbing at food with her hands while everyone is sitting down. When she gets frustrated, she hits, slaps, and pulls at anything in her path. And I need to point out, this is such a physically demanding performance by Patty Duke. She gives into this performance by doing everything with a near reckless abandon. It feels like she is on fight or flight, constant eyes widened, arms constantly outstretched, with most scenes of her swinging wildly and in a way that makes you believe she is unable to see what she is doing. It is simply astonishing to watch. Now, let me note here, talking about it doesn't really rightly express how demanding this performance is. Imagine if you are stressed and if you're in that fight or flight kind of mode. You get to turn that off once you calm down. This feels like a performance that just never gets to calm down. And it's exhausting to watch, but it's also incredible to watch this young actress do this. Like, I can go into a lot more detail as to why I think Patty Duke's performance is really good in this, but I'll leave it there. And Bancroft also gives a physical performance that needs to be commended. How many times did she have to get slapped, pulled, or hit on all those takes? Just the means to actually put up with the physical abuse of this performance is crazy to watch. Yeah, she gets the shit slapped at her at times. It's kind of crazy. Or the acting is so good it really feels like they are, which, you know what, that probably is what's going on. But as her character, she pulls this delicate line that makes you feel for Annie, not only with what she puts up with on the job, but her desire to actually help. And that's key. If this was just Anne Bancroft getting the crap slapped out of her, this would only go so far. But the performance is very good as well because of the emotional resonance that Bancroft has in caring for this character. A lot of the drama that happens in this film involves the family ready to just give up on Helen, institutionalizing her and sending Annie back to just be rid of the problem. But the film does a great job of actually showing why Annie wants to figure this out so much. Without spoiling, it humanizes Annie without giving into the trope of just making a person a husk of discipline. What I mean by that specifically is there's a lot of these types of movies that are about kids who are in a bad place, and here comes this adult who will show them the way of being a good person by instilling discipline, and that's all that person is. There is no other thing about this character other than, I'm going to be good. It's kind of like the great white savior complex. I forget what the actual trope is called, but it's generally a white teacher going into an inner city black school and instilling discipline. And it's tiring because you learn nothing about any of the characters. And Bancroft plays these scenes very well. She keeps Annie's determination on front without it feeling too preachy or sappy, which honestly would have been antithetical to who Annie was. One last thing to point out too, the film is paced very well. The film sticks to the main story, Annie disciplining Helen. The movie doesn't bog itself down with any other kind of drama like problems with the parents' marriage or anything to do with the brother or anything to do with the housekeeping or whatever. Some filmmakers would have added more story to give it a more complex message, but the miracle worker staying on message was the right call, which is actually quite fitting for the miracle worker. Like the main character, it instills the discipline needed to be effective without overstaying its welcome and dragging itself down. It's a film that was exhausting to watch, not by the emotional heft of the film, but just by watching these actors perform in such a demanding manner. By that alone, I'd recommend people just to see these performances, but the film has a satisfying and beautiful story that should be watched by more people. It's a shame that I barely hear anybody else talk about this film. Alright, so before I get into my rating, let's go into what other people think about this film. Letterboxd users has a 3.9 out of 5. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 96%, and this was nominated for 5 Oscars, including Director, Actress, Supporting Actress, and Adapted Screenplay. It won 2, and that is for Anne Bancroft for Actress and Patty Duke for Supporting Actress. I'm giving this movie a 4 out of 5 stars, and I think that the film's overall story is perfectly paced, and it sticks with that one story incredibly well, and I think the performances of both Bancroft and Duke are excellent in this film, especially Duke. Watch this film and not be exhausted watching this. I dare you to. I think of the trope of films when it comes to the disciplinarian trying to teach a kid how to better their life. This is probably one of the better ones. I mentioned Lean on Me and Whiplash in the review, and I think they kind of mix very well together. Overall, 4 out of 5 for The Miracle Worker. If you have not seen it, check it out. I watched this on Amazon Prime, but it's also on Tubi as well if you want to check it out. Alright guys, let me know what you think of the change of my review. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time.
I know one word and I can put the world in your hand. And whatever it is to me, I won't take less.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please like it. If you didn't, please subscribe. And if you have questions or comments, go ahead and leave a comment whether you liked it or not. It just helps, you know. If you want my written reviews, you can go onto my Letterboxd at IamThatWiz, or you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. Thank you very much again for watching. See you next time.